Hello. Good evening. I am so glad that you're here with me tonight. If you come on live within the next few minutes, or if you come on the replay, go ahead and type in replay. I'd love to know that you are here with me. Hello, my name is Dallas Cohen. I'm the rebound coach, and I am super glad to see you, even virtually. This world has had some changes, huh? So I am super glad that you're here today. And okay, so I was double dwelling there. But glad to see you. Glad you're here. I have some really cool, important things to talk about today on how to get you unstuck. So you might be thinking right now, I don't think that I'm stuck, and I don't know that I need you to tell me how to get unstuck. Who are you, and what is this about? So, my name is Dallas Cohen. I'm the rebound coach, as I told you, and I recently kind of came out the closet, so to speak. And you're like, oh, what? Huh? So, not in that sense, but kind of came out as someone who doesn't necessarily agree anymore with some of the religious teachings around relationships and marriage that I grew up learning. And I suddenly, don't really mesh with that the way I used to. And I've been quiet about it for a long time. And so last week, if you were here last week, you kind of heard me ramble. And I say ramble because I'm normally very orderly with kind of what I want to share. And this was more off the cuff and deeper and more personal. So if you weren't on last week, it's on our page, our Facebook page, The Rebound Coach. Go check that out. I'd love to hear what you think. But okay, all that to say, if you are brand new and you don't know me from Adam and don't know what any of this is about, let me catch you up to speed. Before becoming the rebound coach, I was raised in a godly Christian home. Two parents that loved God, loved each other, were married for a lifetime, actually, until my mother passed away. So they were a great example. At the same time, I was molested from age 8 to age 16. And so that radically affects how you see yourself, how I related to God in a faith-based home, and then how I related to men. Fast forward, when I met the man that I married, there were definitely red flags, definite signs that this was going to be very, very difficult. But a few reasons caused me to say yes. Number one, I am a faith-based woman, and I prayed about my very big decision and believed that God was 100% with us and for me saying yes. And I believe because of that, whatever trouble would come, we'd be able to handle it. We'd be able to overcome it. Well, trouble came like right away. Some people talk about like having a honeymoon period. That didn't happen in my case. It was about 15 days in, we were in our very first crisis. And I had a decision to make then as to what I was going to do. And I decided that, 15 days is not long enough to make any big moves. And we could overcome the trouble, or I could outlast it. And it never really went away, even from that beginning. It had a life of its own and was very much a steady constant. And we got into a cycle of what I call coping in crisis. So it was, we've learned to manage ourselves. We've learned to manage how each other behaves, and we're doing like all right. And then a big blow up would happen in some sort of a crisis situation. And we'd stabilize, we'd go through that crisis, we'd stabilize, and then we got back to coping. Well, over the years, the crises got bigger and bigger and bigger. Like it was a worse mess and a worse mess and a worse mess. And come to find out, it ultimately came to a head the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. The man I had been married to for 10 years, just about 10 years at that very point, left for another woman. And I found out that him and that woman had been plotting my murder for months. By the time I found out, needless to say, that was incredibly earth shattering, all the way around. I knew there was trouble, but I didn't know how bad. And I had a choice to make. Again, I was incredibly, threatened at my very core, myself as a mother, myself as a wife, myself as a woman, as a child of God, you know, but also as a coach. I had been coaching. I'd been coaching in some form or fashion about 20 years overall. I'd been coaching in marriage and relationship about 5 or 6 years, and my entire platform was around the covenant of marriage and the sanctity of that covenant, and how it's very important to honor God by honoring your covenant, regardless of how difficult it may be. Because I had a really difficult marriage from the beginning, and I never denied difficulty. I just believed I didn't use the word abuse, except very rarely in my journals. Didn't use the word abuse, and I believed that things would change if I just held out long enough, if I just did the right things. So I was constantly working to make it work, and to make myself better, to be a better wife, to be a better mom, to be a better house cleaner, to be a better anything, to turn things around, be a better child of God. And so ultimately, I could decide to allow what he had planned for me, what my husband had planned for me, which was my death. Make no mistake about that. He had a replacement. He had several replacements over the years, and he wanted me out of the picture. And I could allow that to tell me who I was, what I was allowed to do, how many days I had left on the earth, or I could choose life. And so I've written 2 books. I've wrote a second book outside after all of this that happened. And my book is called I Choose Life: Rewrite Your Love Story and Change Your Legacy. And I 10,000% believe that the entire experience was to bring a message that needed to be brought. And so I'd been sharing my story and sharing about the book, and being able to bless people. Already people have talked about how it's really helped them, and it's really helped answer questions that they've had, and give them insight into their own stories. And I'd been just kind of watching. I do a lot of Facebook watching. I don't know about you, but I spend a lot of time on this app, and I do a lot of stalking and not a lot of talking, right? So trust me, believe me, if you're wondering, like, this is called How to Get Unstuck, why are we talking about this other story? I'm coming around to it. I do a lot of watching, and I watch other areas. And I'll tell you something very instrumental that I learned. I used to judge divorced women a lot. Not out loud that I could tell. It did come out, but I didn't mean it to. Like, I was just in my head and my heart judging, because I fought so very hard for a marriage that was so difficult. And I felt that women who did not fight, or didn't fight long enough, or didn't fight right, whatever that means, or didn't fight hard enough, had given up too soon. They were selfish. They didn't honor God as much. They weren't as serious about God as I was. All of those things. I have some really nasty opinions. And number one, my coach would teach us, you become who you judge. So check your heart. You become who you judge, even if you're not trying to. And number two, what I did learn in my own season of healing, and I found other women who had experiences like mine, who loved God, who not only did everything they could, but continue to do everything they can to honor God in their situation, to be good to the men that they love and they married. It wasn't, a man bash fest. It wasn't a bunch of bitter women. It wasn't, selfish women or women who didn't love God. I was just wrong. I was just wrong on so many counts. And my heart began to bleed, not just for myself, but for so many who had really been misled and who felt very betrayed by the church and felt very betrayed by their traditional learnings and what they've learned for years and years. And so I began kind of the process of what they call deconstructing and reconstructing, which is really an evolution in beliefs. I think that it's important as we have a relationship with Christ that it evolves. It should grow. It shouldn't just become more and more like the main message that we've become used to, right? So whatever brand you call your faith walk, we all have a brand. And yes, I'm using business terms, but I'm a businesswoman, so just roll with it. Okay. You can call it denominations, you can call it religions, you can call it whatever you want. We all have a brand. We all have a main message that we kind of stick with. And depending on how long you've been hearing it is how kind of deep that might go. And for me, if you grew up in a faith-based home and you've been going to church all your life, you got a pretty well established parameters of what you believe and how you believe the world is supposed to be, how men and women are supposed to be, how husbands and wives are supposed to be. And I think in any walk, it should evolve. Our walk with God should evolve. And mine had begun to evolve and change shape. And I was not trusting things I used to trust and not believing things I used to believe, frankly. And so I was watching, but I didn't say anything. I was watching and didn't say anything. And so I want to talk about what happens when you feel like you're kind of on a treadmill where you're working, and just you're getting tired, but you're not really going anywhere. We're not getting where we need to go. And if I'd speak in the context of relationship, but think about every area of your life, your relationship with yourself, with your God, with your kids, with your significant other, if you have one, your relationship with yourself. If I didn't say that, I might have said that. Your relationship with your job or your career, or your community or your extended family. Just think broad. Okay, so these terms apply, these principles apply across the board. So if you're kind of always working and not really reaching the goal, not really making progress, just getting busy and tired, I think we're all a little bit weary in these days and times, if we pay attention to the TVs at all. And we don't have a choice because we're all kind of still inside. But okay, so if that's your situation, if you know what's right and still are not doing it, some of us are personal development junkies. Got my hand up. I thoroughly enjoy learning how to improve myself in every area. And so I've taken in a lot of that content in all sorts of forms and over the years, much. So in the same fashion as people who have long faith experiences, take in a lot of content over the years. And so you're really wise, but not always progressing. So same for myself. I can know the right things to do, but not always do them, right? Or have struggles doing them. And you might find yourself in the same place. And if so, I'd love to see in the comments if you feel like I know what to do. I know what to do, but I am not doing it, right? I think the easiest way that a lot of people identify with that is weight loss, right? We all understand, we all want to be more healthy. Like, I don't know anyone who, if you have a choice to be more or less healthy, would choose less. Most of us say, yeah, I'd like to be healthier. I'd like my body to be more fit. I'd like to be able to do more, live longer, all those things. We know what it takes to get there, right? We've all had the same messaging. You eat healthy, you eat less portions, you exercise, you drink water, rinse and repeat. Right? We know this. We don't have a knowledge problem. We also don't have an access problem. If you're watching this, it's because you're on a device. That device has access to tons of information, recipes, personal fitness, free ones, paid ones, groups, not by yourself. Like there's just, you have full access to everything. So it's not the knowledge that's the problem. It's not the access that's the problem. There's a third problem, right? It's you. Right? Or it's me, right? So you can know what to do. You can have access to the right things and still not be progressing. So I want to talk about the answer for that, right? Or you're the best kept secret. If you are the best kept, if you're an entrepreneur, I serve a lot. I serve women. I serve high achieving women. Okay, so I often serve a lot of women who have businesses or are on a career track, right? And you're really good at what you do. You're smart, you're accomplished, you've been working a long time, like you know your stuff, but you might be the best kept secret. You might not be getting those promotions because they don't know who you are and or you know what you do, or you're expecting trouble to kind of roll over, or you're if you're in those kinds of spots, if you're an entrepreneur and you have a passion for helping others and you have a passion for doing what you do, but yet there's not enough people that you're able to serve to be profitable, we're having a similar issue. Okay, so this is not an exhaustive reason, so not the only reason, but a real big one. Okay, so I want to talk about safety in silence. Okay, so safety in silence is it's just like it sounds. There's an idea out there that it's safe to just not say anything, right? And we're totally in a culture where there's lots of noise. There's lots of noise. The people who are making the noise aren't always like the best people, and they don't always have the best message or the best thing to say, but they are making a lot of noise. And so I relate that to television, or I would say radio, but now I'd say Clubhouse or Pandora or something like that. Like there's a lot of noise on our devices, but not always a lot of good messages, right? But what some of us fall into is feeling that it's safer, it's easier to just not say anything, to think all the thoughts and not say anything. Now, this is not everybody, but for some of us, this is a trap. And I say us because I've definitely fallen into that trap for sure. Just feeling like, and here's some of the reasons why, because right now, personally, I'm doing some amazing things, with the business and just really creating some amazing opportunities for people to get transformation, to get healing, to get sisterhood, really great stuff. And I am overcoming my own feelings of safety and silence. So I wanted to share this because I know I'm not alone. I'm not alone, even in this. And I write about, in my book, I talk about feeling invisible, just feeling like, even since I was a child, I had a mom that had terminal illness, and we had lots of foster kids in the house. So there was just a lot of activity, and some people thrive on that activity. Certain personality types thrive on that, and others kind of shrink away from the noise. So I was one to kind of retreat with a book, and I have a daughter that does the same. Hopefully we don't make too much noise for her. But anyway, I would just kind of retreat. And so I always felt like I was not seen, and I felt like my needs were not as important as my mom's, because she was sick, she was hurting, she was in the hospital, she was having seizures, she needed help, much more help than I needed. And that doesn't mean that my parents on purpose communicated that to me, and I don't think that they did. I don't think that they felt that way. But it is certainly something that I received and heard as a young child. And so I carried that message into my adulthood, that everyone else's problems, needs, concerns or desires are more important than mine. And so I took a very passive role in my own life. And maybe that's you. Maybe you've taken a passive role in your own life and kind of are letting the other people make the decisions for you, even if they don't have a right to do so. So if you're a child, your parents have rights to make decisions that affect you fully, right? But once we become adults, it's not the same, and we allow people who are not authority figures to make our decisions for us. And when I say that, I'm not even talking about husbands, because there's a debate over that right now, right? So we might say, biblically they're an authority. That's not a conversation we're taking on today. We'll just stick a pin in there. We will be having that conversation, but not today. So not withstanding husbands and whether or not they're an authority to make decisions over you, but boyfriends and boyfriends that are not live-in boyfriends and don't pay any bills, and you don't have kids with that boyfriend, but you are allowing boyfriend to tell you what you can have, what you can do, where you can go, what all of those things, what kind of job you should have or career. Can you do this in your business or not? Oh, he doesn't like it when I do such and such. Okay, we're giving authority away. Parents, when we're an adult, our parents can be advisors, can be friends, but don't have authority anymore unless we give it to them. Kids, we can give kids our authority. We can give the government our authority. It's a whole other conversation, y'all. Whew, that can go deep. We won't go there today. And on the surface, I mean, like, governments just kind of telling you what they want to tell you, and you taking that as, I have to because XYZ, right? And governments do have a certain level of authority. I'm not saying they don't. But we as women who have taken a passive role in our own lives can allow people who don't have authority to have authority over us, including pastors. And I'm talking about situations where your pastor is not talking to you about your situation. They are speaking from the pulpit about whatever they want to say. And we take that as, I can't my church, right? Not, forgetting you're a free moral agent. And here's the litmus test for me. When we stand before God on Judgment Day and we are giving justification or lack thereof for our decisions, if I can at any point to somebody and say, so and so made me do it, and God would take that as valid, then they get to make a decision for me. If not, no dice. And here's what I would say to that. We haven't gotten to Judgment Day yet, but Eden gave us an example when Adam took of the fruit, and God's like, what are you doing? And he's like, that woman, right? So the pass the buck thing has been around a very long time. And if God didn't take that as a valid excuse for Adam in the garden, I doubt he would take it for us on Judgment Day when we want to pass the buck. Ultimately, our decisions are our own, and we need to take that responsibility to own them for good and for bad. The benefit is, when it's bad and we own it, we can change it. When it's good and we own it, we can celebrate it. But when it's bad and we pass the buck, we can't make any changes when it's someone else's fault. And when it's good and we pass the buck, we don't receive the celebration, the honor that we should be giving ourselves and enjoying. So that was not on my notes, which tells me it is divinely inspired, and the folks who are watching need to hear it. So I'm glad that you heard it. If any of that resonated with you, please, please, please let me know in the comments. I would just love to kind of hear what's landing for you, what's sticking out for you. But safety and silence comes from a couple different things. If you, like I mentioned, if you feel like you're on a treadmill and you're working, you're busy, you're tired, but you're not moving, often we are occupied and preoccupied with things that just don't matter. Just flat out, things that just don't matter. And I know for myself, I can get into time wasters when I am stressed, and when my brain hurts from working on whatever I'm working on. My brain hurts. I just and I get into a time waster. And sometimes that's scrolling on social media. Sometimes that's eating food I shouldn't eat, or watching TV longer, or sleeping longer, or whatever. Not staying on task because my brain is tired, right? So that has to do with just not processing and not centering, and focusing on what I need the day to do. And when issues arrive, dealing with them as opposed to distracting in the moment. Um, so we can stay busy doing things that don't matter. We can, number one, feel safety in silence because we're afraid of man's opinion. That's really what it comes down to at the crux of it. We're afraid of what somebody's going to say, going to think of us. For those of us entrepreneurs that don't want to be seen, and that might sound crazy and backwards. Like, what do you mean? Like, if you're an entrepreneur, you want to be seen, you want someone to buy your product or your service. But so many people don't want to be seen. They're out there in safe ways, whatever they deem as safe. And they're not extra vulnerable, especially on social media. People are kind of putting up the version of themselves that they wish they were, or the version of themselves they want other people to believe they are, as opposed to who they are. And it's a version of themselves, right? So they're not necessarily being disingenuous, but there's a lot left. They're only showing the good parts, right? So they're afraid of what someone's going to think. And if you see me, if you see the whole me, if you see the real me, what might you say? And for me, last week was kind of pivotal because I was sharing opinions of mine that I hadn't shared in months, and just not comfortable because I have a lot of family and friends on my Facebook feed, and they might say something or they might think something of me, right? So that fear of opinion, and man, what if they know that I don't agree with this anymore? Like, what are they going to say, right? So that's one. Another thing is perfectionism. It's a theme. It's a theme. A lot of myself and women that I serve suffer from perfectionism. And I say suffer because it is not, it is a culturally appropriate dysfunction, right? So our culture celebrates the dysfunction, but it is a dysfunction. Like, that is not the way we're supposed to operate. Excellence and perfectionism are two different things. Excellence is doing the very best you can, the very best you can. And perfectionism is needing everything to be perfect before it sees the light of day. And I've done a lot of that. I am a recovering perfectionist. And if you also suffer from perfectionism, at least a little bit, you might be in that safety in the silence. If I just don't say anything, I definitely won't get it wrong, right? You're mitigating. I won't get it wrong. I could get it right. We don't think about getting it right. We think about getting it wrong and how do I avoid getting it wrong? Well, I just won't say anything. And there's opportunity that comes by, good opportunity that we don't say yes to because we're afraid of getting it wrong, or someone to see us get it wrong, or someone to see us not do it right, or any of those things, or thinking bad thoughts about us. It's really dangerous for us to think that way because we're losing ground. We only get our days once, right? Like YOLO, we only get our days once. And if we're on a mission, and if I'm speaking to you, if you resonate with this message, it's because that there's something great for you to do here on the earth. There's something big for you. You're on a mission. You're not just existing in life. You're not just here so you can eat, sleep, watch TV, and go on to the next day. Like, there's something for you to do, and you care enough about that thing to be pursuing it. Those are the people I run with. And if you're that person, it's so much more than just, I want it to be right. I want it to be perfect. It's gotta be all right. It's important to you that you do the thing. You do the thing, and there's people waiting on you to do the thing. So I just want to encourage you today. If you're watching this, if you're attracted to this, if you're a winner, if you are a high achieving woman, that means you're out there doing something important. This matters. It matters that we not just sit and wait. It matters that we don't, wait until things are perfect. It matters that we're not hidden, because your light needs to shine regardless. I talk to people often. They say, "Oh man, I wish I wrote a book. I want to write a book. I want to write a book. I have this story. I always wanted to help people with my story, but I don't feel like I'm good enough." I hear it more often than I should. Way more often than I should. And the truth is, you don't have to be good enough. You don't have to be. You just can be you. And when we say good enough, we mean like good enough to be like them, whoever they are. Good enough to be like this or like that. Just be you. Give what you have. Do what you can. Do what you can with what you have and do the very best you can. And that's what God is expecting. And I'll tell you this too, it increases and the growth does happen. It may not happen in the quantum leaps that you're hoping for. It happens in the little increments, but that is how the mountain is won, in tiny itty bitty little steps. So fear of man's opinion, perfectionism, and controlling your reputation is another reason why people feel safe in silence. But I'll tell you what, no matter what the reason you might have for not speaking out and not showing up and not telling the whole truth, I am especially happy for this season in my life where I'm able to tell the whole truth. For so long, as a woman in a destructive marriage and an abusive marriage, emotionally abusive, spiritually abusive marriage, I felt like I could not tell the whole truth because I believed part of that paradigm that says you're never supposed to say anything negative about your spouse. A woman is never supposed to say anything negative about her husband. If she is, she's bad mouthing him. She's a nag. She's tearing down her house with her bare hands, like the scripture says. And, she's no good. She's not a good woman if she says anything bad. So for the longest, you're supposed to honor your husband, honor, respect. So I couldn't tell the whole truth. Now, if I was on the phone one-on-one with a woman and she says, I'm not getting provided for, I'm not protected, right? I could also say, yeah, me too, right? I could say that in a one-on-one, but when I stood on a platform, I couldn't share everything. I couldn't share everything that we were walking through. I couldn't share everything that we had overcome even, because I felt I couldn't tell the whole truth. So I am very glad that in this season, I'm able to tell the whole truth and I'm able to say, look, this is how deep it goes. And this is how far you can come. And so all that's in the book. If you haven't gotten the book, I suggest you check it out. It's at thereboundcoach.com. That's THE reboundcoach.com. And I have a little thing I can put. Yes. I get fancy every now and again, y'all. So you can go to thereboundcoach.com and get the book. But I do encourage you to press through anyway. People need you. People are waiting on what you have to offer. There's a second big reason I want to talk about why people are stuck, and they're not achieving at the level that they want to achieve, even though they know better, they have access to better, they're able to, but they're still not achieving. And that's what I call glory in the struggle. And so this is in the book as well, where I talk about kind of my upbringing. So my parents were marketplace ministers, which essentially means they're making a difference in addition to making a dollar. Their ministry was not in a pulpit, it was in a music store. We had music stores where back in the day where there were like cassettes and records, y'all. I don't go back to HX, but I go back to cassettes. So this is far back in music delivery that I go. When CDs first came out, I was around when CDs first came out, and like barely no one even knows what to do with CDs now. So aging myself. But anyway, we had record stores or music stores and video stores on VHS tapes. Okay, back in the day, y'all. We had two different stores. We were franchised. We were doing concerts and parades, and we were on the radio. We were on television, public television for the day. So it was all very exciting. And I grew up in that atmosphere, and that's kind of where I learned business. At the same time, we were always really struggling. Like, we were always very close to homelessness. I've actually been homeless twice. My dad's been homeless 3 times or 4 times. I think 4 times, 3. Anyway, more than me. And the lights would get turned off. We'd be, oh, we lost our house. We got to go find another one really quick. Or we were always in danger of losing the store or losing the house or losing, like, something was always catastrophic about to happen or happening or just happened. And the way my dad, he's a faith man, I love him so much. I'm so honored to be his daughter, and I learned so many really good lessons from him. But one of the things that he was, a faith man. He would always take a risk and say, God's going to do it. And sometimes God didn't do it. Right. And so he would kind of spin that for us as kids as, this is the path of the faithful. When you're doing God's will and you're doing the work God wants you to do, it's going to be hard and you're going to suffer, and this is the way it's going to be, right? But this is great. There's glory in the struggle. And those weren't, he never sat me down and said those words, but that's what I took on watching him interact, watching him console himself, what I would say, encourage himself or console himself, as to why everything was always kind of falling apart in certain ways. But that's what he would tell himself. That's what he would tell us. And so I took on that as well, that there's a glory, there's a benefit in the struggle. And if you're not struggling, you're not as strong, as others. So similar to the way I talked about earlier about judging divorced women, similar. There's glory in the struggle. And if you're not struggling, then you didn't do it right. Something to that effect, right? So that notion, that idea carried with me through the other areas of life. And it's a reason, one of them, and it's a twisted reason. So I want you to hear this, because so many areas in life, we can be frustrated. If you are frustrated, that means you want something, but it's not happening. You want something, it's not happening. You might be putting effort towards there, but it's not happening. So I can't tell you a time in my life where I haven't been frustrated with something. And I don't mean like, I don't mean like a circumstance that happens in a day, like a small circumstance. I mean, in a large area of life, I cannot tell you a time I've been alive where I have not been frustrated in my memory. It's a place you can live. and if you've been there, it's not a fun place. And there's a deeper reason. And so glory in the struggle is an idea that if you hold it, you will struggle in areas you are working against. And for me, that has been business. Sometimes that's been health. I'm doing the things that the experts say to do. I'm doing the things, and in marriage also, doing the things I'm supposed to do, doing the things I've been taught, not doing them perfectly, but there's a self-sabotage that's in that. Because if you believe there's glory in the struggle, you don't want to turn that glory down for success, right? If I succeed at a thing, if something's easy, oh no, if something is smooth and something works out, oh goodness, I must not have done this right because I'm not struggling. So internally, we self-sabotage and we don't do enough, or we don't do it fast enough, or we don't do it right. And then we go back to God. I go back to God and say, well, God, I did the thing and it didn't work, so I give up, right? The thing wasn't wrong. There was a self-sabotage involved. And so I don't know about you. If any of that pops for you, if any area in life you see like, man, I've done that in this area, let me know in the chat. I'd love to have a dialogue with you. So if you are in that spot and you have self-sabotaged your own progress, here's my homework. Here's my solution. First of all, I want you to really be honest with yourself. Nothing. My mentor says nothing becomes dynamic until it becomes specific. Specific. He's sure I said that right. But it's not going to change for you until you're able to clearly identify it. So I encourage you to do that. Identify, number one, what areas you have been frustrated, and number two, if those frustrations have come from being silent when you should be speaking and being seen. If you're hiding in areas where you should be seen, if you are not sharing your message at times where you need to share it, or not sharing it outside of your comfort zone, like to this limit and not any further because I'm afraid, identify that. Okay. If you're frustrated, you're on that treadmill, you are working, you are tired, but you're not getting anywhere. Identify those areas for you. What is it that's not moving? Okay. And what are the things you're necessarily afraid of? And you can start a sentence with, if they really saw me, then X, whatever that is. They really saw me, they'd be ashamed of me. They wouldn't want to be my friend. They wouldn't love me anymore. If they really saw me, they wouldn't let me sing in the choir, or whatever it is for you. Write those things down. And I would encourage you to tell yourself the truth of the matter. And the truth of the matter isn't the negative story that you're telling yourself, even if you told yourself that for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. That's not what the truth is. The truth is what the Word of God says about you, that you are beautiful. Why are you beautiful? Because you're fearfully and wonderfully made. But they don't know what I did. That has nothing to do with how the Maker has made you. Has nothing to do with that. So I would encourage you to speak the truth to the story you tell yourself. And faith comes from hearing. Faith comes by hearing. So hear yourself speak the truth over yourself, over your soul, over your situation, more than you hear the negative self-talk. That is hard work. It is not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. But you can retrain yourself. You can't just think about this. Okay, I have young kids. I say young kids. They're 9 and 10. So they're kind of not young kids and not old kids. Yeah, in between. But we were in the store. We were in the store today. We walked by the aisle with all the air fresheners, and they saw Febreze, and they immediately started singing the commercial. Febreze, la 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 la, immediately. And I said, y'all watch too much TV, la 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 la. But the truth is, like, it's programmed because they saw it a bunch of times. Faith come by hearing, and hearing by the word, not just the word of God. Yes, the word of God, also any words. So the words that we hear, we're programmed to believe them. You can program yourself to believe the truth, just the same as you've been programmed to believe lies. So number one, identify the areas that you need this work in. Number two, identify what the lies are, what the struggle is, what your stuck is. Number three, write down the truth of the matter. And number four is to practice the truth. Put it up where you need to put it up. I think other cool ways. So some people learn by looking, some people learn by listening, right? Or doing. So of course, practice, you can do those, speak those things to yourself in the mirror with yourself every day. You can record yourself saying the truth and allow that to play maybe overnight when you're asleep, or, when you're doing something else, listening to positive affirmation, or of course, posting it up around the house, with the bathroom mirror. I am beautiful, right? So whatever works, I just encourage you to retrain yourself for victory, retrain yourself for breakthrough instead of bondage, and you can make it. So I hope you got something out of this today. I have a few fantastic solutions. I get excited. And I want to share two of them with you. Number one, I want to share a little bit about the book. I did mention it Can I do this? How do I do this? Okay, I'm gonna do this. Ha, there
Hi
she is.
there, my name is
The
Heidi,
testimony about the
and
book.
I just want to do a quick video to let you know how much I absolutely love Dallas's book. So I had actually bought it for a friend, and I started thumbing through it and everything else, and actually started in the middle of the book. And the story in those 5 pages I had read blew me away so much that I went to the beginning and started it and actually kept the book so that I can finish it. And then I'm going to go ahead and give it to a friend of mine. But it was amazing, and she has such a wonderful story and is such a blessing to so many people. You would be amiss if you didn't go ahead and get this. Thank you so much, Dallas.
Okay. So I wanted to share that with you. It's a little quick testimony about the book. It has been blessing a lot of people. If you have not gotten your copy, I highly recommend that you do so. You can get your copy of I Choose Life at thereboundcoach.com. You can click on, it says there's a button that says I Choose Life. Click right on there. You can see my story, me telling a little bit more about the book. You can get it from Amazon. There's a link right there, or I will sign one of these hard copies and mail it to you in the mail, which is nice because then I get to write you a nice personal message. So again, that's thereboundcoach.com/book, or you can go to thereboundcoach.com and click on I Choose Life, give you all the information. My second way of helping you reclaim. I'm excited. I'm excited. We're preparing a place for you. If you are a high achieving woman and you have lived through maybe trauma of any type, betrayal, abuse, you've lived through the things but maybe not overcome the things, and you're in some of those cycles we talked about. If you're in a coping and crisis cycle, if you are frustrated, if you are safety and silence, if you are glory in the struggle, and you identify with that and that's you, we're preparing a place for you, and it's coming up so soon, and I am so excited. So I want to share this video with you. Share this video with you as well.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך, יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויהנך, יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
Okay. So I get peace every time I watch that video. Like it's very calming. If you're in that high stress, high strain situation, you've got a lot of responsibilities on you, like you're taking care of a lot of people, or even just one person, you're a caretaker for someone. It's a lot. It's a lot. Just the headlines by itself will stress you out right now. It's important to pour into yourself. It's important to take care of yourself, because if you don't, how are you going to take care of all those people that depend on you? And I'm not even talking about, the folks who need you for your destiny, like the people in your house that you're caring for. How can you care for them if you're not fed? And we're preparing a place for you. if that video resonated with you, if this resonated with you, I would love to chat and just we'll see if it's a fit. I'd love to get some information to you. You can make an appointment to chat with me. You can also just DM me, right? Like on the app that you're watching this, you can do that. Or you can connect with me on calendly.com/Dallas Cohen. I would love to just chat with you. I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to hear what you learned from today, and see if we're a fit. If there's only 10 spots available in Sanctuary, it is an intimate experience. We're intentionally not making this. It's not a big seminar. This is not a big workshop. You're not a number. You're not a number. We are pouring into you intentionally and intensely and intimately pouring into you. And if that's your scene, and you like the beach, come check me out. Dallas, calendly.com/Dallas Cohen. Of course, it's all on that Sanctuary webpage. You can just go there. All the information is there. You're able to schedule your chat with me, and I'd love to just see if we're a fit for that. So those are the solutions that I have for you. I would absolutely love to serve you in that way, whether it's a coaching group or doing some reclaim coaching groups, reclaim territory and relationship with yourself. If you want to just start with the book, or if you are ready for your Sanctuary experience, let's talk. Let's talk. That's all I have. Please tell me what you think. Please tell me what you liked about tonight, what stood out for you, what you learned. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so very much for your time. You hung out with me for 51 minutes. I'm really glad you're here. Thank you so much. Have a fabulous evening. Mwah.